I became obsessed with being heard. I was speaking, but I was saying the wrong thing. I had a radio show at the time. Let me say the long and short of that radio show was practically dragging people into fornication.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Living Beyond Limitations, the podcast where we explore real stories and give you tips that will empower you to break free from your limitations and work in alignment with who you are and your God's given purpose. Today's episode, we will be exploring a very important topic, finding your voice. And I'll be doing this with Victoria Ogbujah, the Executive Director of CVO Consult, a personal brand mindset and purpose coach for women. So, if you're struggling to find your voice or speak your truth in alignment with who you are and your God's given purpose, today's episode is for you. So, let's begin as we make welcome Victoria Ogbujah. Hello, Victoria, boss lady. Welcome to
Hi.
Living Beyond Limitations. Yeah, girl power. I'm so excited having you here. It's an honor having you here.
It is an honor to be here as well, Daniela. Thank you for having me, really.
My pleasure. Okay, so we're talking about a very important topic, finding your voice.
Mm-hmm.
This world, our society, it's a very noisy world. A lot of voices here and there. People are confused. What do you want to talk about? Speaking their truth, owning their voice, and all that. A lot of people haven't found their voice. They really don't know what to talk about. But I believe we all have a voice. Yeah, we all have our truth to speak. So for people that don't understand what it means to find their voice, what does it mean to find your voice?
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for that question, Daniela. And I love this topic because it absolutely resonates with my vision as a bold woman coach, right? That's the AKA for me, the bold woman coach. And as a bold woman coach, finding your voice is like a main pillar. It's a main pillar in my brand message. And you cannot be bold without finding your voice. What it means to be bold means to find your voice, number one, and then be able to use that voice where necessary. Okay, so in finding your voice, what that means is that, first of all, you come to an agreement with who you are. That's the very first thing. It's about knowing who you are. You come to a point where you say, okay, this is me. This is what I got. This is the value I bring to the table. This is who I am. And then you actually agree with that, because there are lots of people, lots of women out there who actually know who they are, but they do not agree with that. They do not think that they really are, that person. So they fight with it. They fight with the idea that, oh my God, I'm actually this intelligent. Oh my God, I'm actually this creative. But no, I don't think, how can someone like me be this creative? It's not possible. They fight with that. So finding your voice means knowing who you are and then coming to an agreement that this is who you are. And then you decide, you get to make a decision that, okay, this is who I am, and I agree with this person that I am. And I find this, I consider myself valuable enough, worthy enough for the world to hear. So it is one thing to know who you are and agree with that person. It is another thing to communicate who you are with the world. Now that is where a lot of women and men, if we have men watching this as well, that's where a lot of women, that's where the challenge is. So we have people, they will tell you, oh yes, I know my capabilities. I know my message. I know I'm very good in this area. Oh, I know I'm experienced. Oh, I'm skilled. But tell the world, okay, come out, say something or do something. Now that's shrink back. So finding your voice is a process. And until you complete that process, you haven't found your voice. So it starts with you knowing who you are. Number two, you come to an agreement with that person that you are. And number three, You then say, okay, this is who I am, this is what I got, and then the world deserves to know this because I deserve to be heard. I deserve to be
Mm.
seen. I deserve to be sought after. So
And you're right.
when you eventually come to an agreement with that person that you are, right, your belief systems, your passions, your story, then you begin to
Mm.
share that person with a word that is waiting for you. Of course, knowing fully
Mm.
well that not the entire world is not your audience, but then you know that there is a people in this world that needs to know what you know, and needs to be impacted from what you know and from who you are, and then you
Oh.
show up boldly and authentically for those people. So for me, that's how I define finding
Mm.
your voice.
Okay. Beautiful. Knowing who you are, coming in agreement with who you
Mm-hmm.
are, and you being able to communicate who you
Mm-hmm.
are. So, speaking about finding your voice and mindset, purpose coach, I know finding your voice is related to our God's given purpose, but I want you to explain to us how it is related to our God's given purpose.
Okay, so the very first thing is to understand what exactly purpose is.
Yeah.
And based on my walk so far, based on my journey so far as a purpose-driven woman, I see purpose
Mm.
as the reason of the reason of the reason why you exist in the first place. Now, the Bible clearly tells us that, all things were made by God, and there was nothing that was made that was not made by Him. And all things were created for His pleasure. So that tells you that you were created for God's pleasure. You were
Mm.
created so that the Lord would delight in you. So that means your life, the fact that you are, the way you breathe, the way you eat, everything brings Him pleasure because He gave
Pleasure.
you all of those abilities in the first place, right? So that is our primary purpose, right? Which is to bring God pleasure by the way we live our lives. Now,
Mm.
now that we have that sorted, now each of us there are some specific things that God has entrusted to each and every one of us. God doesn't just create because He does not know what to do. He's bored. He woke up that morning and he's bored. He shall just decide to just create another human being. No. The one thing I have realized in my study so far is that purpose precedes creation. What that means is that
Creation. Oh, yeah.
purpose, there has to have been there's a reason for you to have been created. So
Created.
God
Yeah.
probably
I say that a lot.
probably exactly. So something needed to be done, and God
Mm.
is looking. Let me just put it in a practical way. So something comes up, and an action needs to be taken, or something needs to be done, and then God says, "Okay, this thing needs to be done. So we have to. I need somebody I need that
Yeah, and I
walk
can do
through
it.
to get
Yeah.
this thing done." So whatever it is that's going to be done here on earth has to be done through a man, right? So God sees that there's something that needs to be done, and then He has to come through somebody. He has to come through a man, come through a woman to get it done, right? And so, boom. So there's something that needs to be done, and then He goes on to create the vessel that He's going to use
Mm.
to get that thing done. So we as human beings, by the special grace of God, by His mercy and by His wisdom, we are the vessels through which God gets
Mm.
things done. Okay. So now He creates us according to specification, based on the thing that needs to
Mm.
be done. So that is the reason why we are
Right.
all
Yeah.
unique. That's the reason why we sound
Mm.
different, we look different. Some
Look
come like
different.
this, some come this way, some come white, some come black, some come whatever way. Your whatever, however way you see yourself, right? Your natural self, if God was very intentional, creating you that way. The skills that you have, the experiences that you have, that career that you decided to pursue, that goal, that skill you decided to go and learn, it's not of your making. Everything has been
Mm.
divinely orchestrated because there is a purpose that
Orchestrated.
you need to
Yeah.
fulfill. So when you're seeking purpose, you don't go to the word asking the word for your purpose. You go to the one who created you
Mm.
because there was a reason for which you
Yeah.
were created. Uh-huh. And the
Mm.
only way you can get an answer to that question is when you submit to Him. It's when you submit to God that you can get true purpose. And that is what I tell my clients. I cannot tell you that this is your purpose. No, that's not my job. I'm not the one who
Yeah.
created you. So it is only God that can tell you this is your purpose. So in
It's your
finding your
purpose.
voice, you also need to, understand that purpose is what gives your voice meaning. It's what gives your voice
Mm.
depth. It's what gives your
Woo.
identity.
I love this.
It's what gives your identity a reason for others to want to identify with you. Your purpose is what
Mm.
brings the people. There are destinies that have been tied to you. It is your purpose that will attract them
Oh.
to you because they themselves, they may not even know where to go, but when they see somebody
Mm.
that carries the kind of glory they are looking for, they are attracted.
Ha ha
It is your
ha.
purpose. It is
Speak.
your purpose that shines the lights. It's your purpose that opens the door. It's because without your purpose, you'll be speaking, but you're speaking into the air. Without your purpose, you'll be
Mm.
showing up, but you are showing up to the wrong people. Without your purpose, you'll be
Ooh.
speaking, but the people you're talking to don't get what you're saying because whatever it is you're saying doesn't make sense to them. They are not your audience. They are
Yeah.
not the people that need what you have to say. In order for you to be able to
Mm.
speak in a way that makes serious divine impact, you have to understand what your
Mm.
purpose is. And the thing about purpose is that it is not a destination, it's a journey. So every day that you're alive,
Journey.
you are
Yeah.
walking in purpose. You're journeying in purpose. And as long as you are alive, as long as you are here on this earth, you are walking in purpose. And you keep doing that
Mm.
for as long as Jesus tarries. So
Yeah.
that's the thing. So your voice must be aligned with your purpose. Now, some people will say, okay,
Mm.
but I don't know my purpose. How do I get started and all of that? It's very, very simple. Submit yourself to the Lord. So
Yeah.
your voice must be anchored on your purpose. Whatever it is you're
On your
doing or
purpose.
saying or showing up at must be anchored on your purpose because that is the only way you will truly make impact and you will be fulfilled. So
Oh wow, wow. I really love what you said. Purpose gives meaning to your voice. You have to go to your creator, know what that purpose for you is, then
mhm,
you can find your voice and speak your truth. Because there are a lot of noise out there, a lot of people saying a lot of
so much
things.
noise, so much
Yeah,
noise.
so your voice is anchored in your God's given purpose. That's beautiful. So briefly, can you just share with us how you were able to overcome limitations and find your voice and not just finding your voice and also amplifying your voice.
Okay. Hmm. So there is there's a lot there. Okay, so I think I'll just try to shorten it. So
Yeah.
um so starting out though, the thing is, I've always been this be out there kind of person, right?
Okay.
First of all, as a little girl, I've always had this desire to be out there. I don't know to
Yeah.
be out there at what. I had no idea, but I've always had that
Yeah.
desire to be heard, to be seen. Although at some point it had two sides. One side of it was negative and the other side of it was positive. Negative in the sense of the way I grew up, the family I grew up in. I felt really unheard and unseen in my own family, right? So
Okay.
a lot of times I was left to, make decisions myself. And even when I really wanted to do
Yourself.
some stuff, I wasn't allowed or I had limitations. So I eventually grew this unhealthy desire to be seen. And what that means is
Mm.
that I could literally do anything just to get, attention. That was the
Yeah,
negative
I
side.
guess.
That was the negative side of it. But the positive side of it was that even in all of that madness, I really wanted to make impact. I wanted for things around me to change because I contributed to it. So it had, but at some point, the negative aspect, the negative part wanted to, sort of overshadow the positive
Overshadow
aspect,
the
right?
positive.
So yeah. So I wanted to be like Beyonce, I wanted to be all over the place, TV.
Yeah.
asked myself, I was thinking, what can make me get on TV? How
Mm.
can I get on TV? And then I realized, oh, you can actually study a course in the university that can help you get on TV. I said, okay,
Mm.
fine, we're getting there. So yeah, I studied mass communication, and that just further fueled my desire to be out there. And but I had a lot of things that were a hindrance. Let me just mention one of them because there was a lot. So one of them is my I was very skinny and hairy, and in school I got bullied a
Mm.
lot. Right, I
Oh,
got
wow.
bullied a lot. No, I was the tiniest in the class, the smallest in the class. Everybody was I look up to look at people. You get? And then I was so hairy, like I don't know if I've seen. Well, yeah, there are people who are more hairy than I am, but at the time, because of my skinny natures, my hair was, practically shooting out. It was so long.
Wow.
And so I was really that hairy. And then, of course, there was no name I did not hear in class now. Is he hairy
Oh my
monkey?
God.
Oh, I be shrinking
Oh,
witch. Oh, I be, what did I not hear? Oh, God have mercy on me. So,
thinking which
so
that's funny.
so
Mm.
it was that battle, people would, laugh at me, make fun of me. Even my teachers as well were not helping matters.
Mm.
And of course on my family side,
Mm.
there were a lot of family issues going on. So it was just there. But I thank God because that didn't kill, that innate I knew that I should be heard and I should be
Right.
seen.
Mm.
But I
Mm.
just didn't know, how to go about it at the time. And then, of course, there were all of that, all of those things I was going through at the time. It turned into an obsession at some point because I became obsessed with being
Wow.
heard. So even when I got
Mm.
into the university, I would ditch classes and go find, I would go look for, I would ditch classes. I wouldn't say that was entirely bad because that brought me into the media. I would go look for a
Mm.
TV station or radio station where I can do a TV show where they can get me and all of that. But I realized how unhealthy the whole thing had become when I wanted to go into nude photography. I would do, very weird photo shoots. Do you even know that there was a time I was even contemplating being a porn star? Like I was actually
Oh,
contemplating, not I
wow.
was already doing the research on that. I was, because at the time I was like, you know what? Whatever. There was one thing is that they get to see me. So let them see me, let them
Mm.
hear me, I wanted to be all out there.
Mm.
Chica. So that's why I said at some point the attention I was seeking was out of alignment with my purpose. Yes, it is God's
Okay.
desire for me to
Mm.
be heard, but I did not
Yeah.
understand anything. And then I was getting attention, but in the wrong way. I was speaking, but I was saying
Wait.
the wrong thing. I had a radio show at the
Mm.
time. Let me say the long and short of that radio show was practically dragging people into fornication. Do you get? And the thing
Wow.
about my voice is that I have come to realize that my superpower is my voice. I have talking
Mm.
energy. I have persuasive energy. I can talk you into things. I can say
Into
things.
doing
I may not tell you to do something,
mm.
but when you finish listening to me, you shall go and do that
Mm.
stuff. Okay, so
Do the thing.
that power had been there, but I did not realize that power at the time. So I would just say things, do things, and then not knowing that there are people that are watching that who are not so strong-minded at the time, who just
Mm.
listen to what I say and then just go ahead and do it. I got a message from somebody recently telling me that the radio show I had back contributed to the issues he began to have with sex addiction and all of that. And
Wow.
that is just one person that has come to tell me, So I don't know how
Imagine,
many people
yeah,
out there
how many
that must,
people? Oh,
you
wow.
know. So although I should have been praying and asking God to forgive me. So
Forgiveness.
that's just like when I came to Christ, when I eventually gave my life to Christ, I swore that this same voice and energy that I used to make people
Mm.
do things, drag people away from God, that I'm going to use the same voice to bring people
Mm. To
into their
bring
divine purpose.
people.
Yes, I'm going
Yeah.
to take them back to heaven. I'm going to, that's what I'm going to dedicate my life as a learning platform, as a knowledge platform. Everything I do, is going to have to lead people to Christ. So that's just like so that is one of the reasons why I am powered and motivated to do what I'm doing. So even if I'm not getting clients to book my coaching sessions, even if I'm not getting likes or comments, I just realize that this is something, whatever it is I'm saying must be said. Because I don't see it's not just a
Mm,
business, it's a ministry. Okay, this is a platform.
yeah.
I must do what I have to do. God who has called me on this journey will sustain me. But I'm doing it because I know who sent me and I know who's backing me up. And
Mm,
it is his
yeah.
instruction I'm following, not the ways of the word or the patterns of the word. I just got to do what I'm doing
Yes.
because someone's me here. So that's just like a little bit into my background and what has brought me here so far. So that's why I keep
Yeah.
speaking. That's why I keep doing
Mm.
what I'm doing. Yes.
Wow, like I'm just like, really? You did all that. Yeah. When you don't know who you are, you've not come to, the full knowledge of who you are in God. Just going to different things because you want to be heard, because you want to be seen for the likes and comments. Some people, they don't really know who they are. A lot of young people struggle with identity crisis, coming to terms with who they are. I think identity crisis is one of the issues why people struggle to find their voice and speak their truth. So, what are some common barriers that prevent people from finding their voice?
Okay, thank you for that. That's a very wonderful one. And you just mentioned one of the critical point
Yeah,
there, and that is, identity crisis. And
crisis.
this
Yeah,
identity crisis is what then leads to the other things I'm eventually going to mention. Now, what
mention.
exactly is identity crisis? Identity crisis is basically confusion.
Hmm.
There's this internal confusion about, who you are. Okay. The question is, am I really this? Or is this really me? Or am I capable of this?
Hmm.
Do I really know this?
Yeah.
Because it's a chaos going inside of you about that is surrounded, on the person that you are, like a true or false situation where you're trying to, is this true about you or is this false about you,
Hmm.
and this identity crisis leads to things like low self-esteem, right? So
Oh,
low
yeah.
self-esteem comes in, fear of judgment, like you're scared of what
Hmm.
others are going to say about, whatever it is
Say,
that you have to say or whoever it is that you are. Another thing is imposter syndrome, right? Where you begin to feel like a fraud in your own body. Like you feel like
hmm.
uh, uh, you are a
This is not
fraud, you're an
me.
imposter,
Yeah.
right? This is really not me, right? Where you begin to feel like you don't deserve to be celebrated, you don't deserve to be given your
Hmm.
flowers, you don't deserve that accolade, you don't deserve anything good. So the thing about imposter syndrome is that it makes you question your abilities that you can clearly see that you have, but you begin to question, like, do I really have these abilities or am I just faking it? Like, it's really bad.
Hmm.
And I speak from experience. I can tell you, even up
Yeah.
to up to this very moment as I speak to you, I do experience imposter syndrome a lot. So,
Um,
like, for
yeah,
example, when someone reaches out now, when someone reaches out and says, "Hi, Victoria, I would love to book your coaching services," the first thing that comes to
mm.
my head is like, book my coaching services. Who am I to coach? Do I have what in the world do I know? What do I
You're
know
right.
about coaching? What do I want to say to this
Coaching.
person? She understand, like,
Mm, mm.
I'm like, it just takes the Holy Spirit to like, hey, Gary, snap out of it, snap out of it,
Yeah.
come back to base. Okay. I'll be like, okay, all right, fine. I can do this. After all, I've been doing this. So what makes me think,
Like,
so that's the thing about imposter syndrome. So it makes you ask yourself, like, like, do I really own these skills? Do I really, or am I just faking it?
mm,
Am I just pretending? And this imposter syndrome comes mostly when, an opportunity comes your way to do something,
mm.
right? When an opportunity comes and you have to show your skills or you have to show your talent or you have to speak up, that's when that voice just comes in and begins to, ask you things like, do you really know this stuff, or are you sure you're not just faking it? Do you really deserve this accolade? Or,
Yeah.
that's the thing about imposter syndrome. Another thing that can also hold people back is, societal expectations, especially we as
Yeah.
women. Right
Mm,
from time immemorial, we have we have always struggled with, being heard and being seen in the society as
Yeah.
women. And so although I know that that's definitely not how God created it, so that's the reason why the progress is still very slow. I currently run a company, CVO Consulting, and what we do there is that we amplify African female voices. And when we're doing our research, we realized that about the percentage of women who are out there are still below 10%. Like for African women,
Wow.
it's still below 10%. And then
Wow.
when we even bring it down to the world, to women all over, like,
Mm,
from a world view, it's
yeah.
appalling, to be very honest. So we
Wow.
still have a long way to go. So all that societal expectations, the past criticisms, some people are held back by what has happened to them in the past. So it has held them back. So when they think of finding their voice, when they think of coming out, they remember all of these things, and then that sort of just shrinks them back in. So that will take serious deliverance to get out of that place. So yeah, so these are the common barriers that could hold people back from finding their
Now,
voice.
old people. Yeah, I agree with you. Like a whole lot of young people, women struggle to find their voice, amplify their voice because of, societal expectations. A lot of people don't live authentically. I believe everyone has a voice. They have their truth, which is connected with their God's given purpose. So what are practical ways that you would like to share with us to help our viewers that are
Mhm.
struggling to find their voice to be able to do that? Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. First of all, acknowledge that you have limiting beliefs. That's number one. Then number two, identify these limiting beliefs. Write them down. Write it. I know why I say write them down, because there's a reason for that. Write out all 10, 20, 15, 5, 6. Write them down. All the things, all the statements that you have ever made about yourself that has kept you in the dark, that has kept you on the
Mhm.
negative side. Write all of them down. Then when you're done, you look at them in the face and you say, okay, I see you now. I see you.
Mhm.
You're looking at it and you're
Yeah.
saying, I see you. Now, the next thing you want to do is begin to reframe. So that
Mhm.
place where you said, I'm not good enough, on the side, you write, I am good enough.
Good enough.
But that place where you said, no one can see me, on the side you write, the right people that need me see me. Now, reframing them means you're going to have to constantly say those things, affirmations, loud affirmations. So
Mhm.
always loudly affirm to yourself. Sometimes I catch myself doubting what I'm capable of. So sometimes I have to, like, I'll just get up and say, hey, you demonic voice from the pit of hell, I rebuke you.
Oh yeah.
I've been doing this
Take it out.
and I'm
I've
doing
learned how to do that.
so I affirm aloud, because it's like this non-entity of Satan is, you're not hearing me, Abby. Let me shout it. Let me, so you can hear it
Shout
very
it.
well.
I'm
So
telling
sometimes I
you.
do this loud, affirmations like, I am, enough. I got this. I can do this. God has given me the skills. He has given me the power. He has given me the energy, and I will deliver, and I will deliver excellently. And shame unto you, Satan. So that sort of thing. So loud affirmations matter a lot. And then another thing is that is very important is setting goals. You see, if you don't
Mm.
have a goal, if you don't have a set goal, like a focused goal, then there is a problem, because you just end up you just find out that you're just moving, you're like a shaft in the wind, going wherever it is the
Mm.
wind blows you. So please, one thing that really helps me is to have a goal, right? And that's one thing I don't joke with. I practically have a book for everything. I have a book for my business
Mm.
goals. I have a book for my daily stuff. Like I don't joke with, like, this is currently my planner for 2025. So in here,
Um,
my this is where every day I must write out the goals I have every day. So when I wake up every day, I have something I'm focused on. You get? I
yeah,
have something I'm focused
structure.
on for my personal life
Mm.
as a mom, for my life as an entrepreneur. I even have a separate planner for my business. Because when you wake up and you don't have a direction, I'm promising that Satan will give you
Mm.
direction. He will give you something to do. So at the end of the week, you sit back and say, Lord, okay, the week is over. The next week is coming up. What am I set to do this week? What areas am I functioning in? You listen, and then you begin to, write out things that you want to focus on for the week, so that when you wake up and you feel like, I feel useless. My life is not going in any direction. You pick up your goals and say, okay. We
Yeah,
have
that's
something.
true.
We have something to work on. Yes, it does not mean that you must follow those goals exactly the way you wrote them, but it gives you a sense of direction. Because sometimes God might say,
Direction.
okay, this one you wrote is nice, but this is not what I want you to do this week. I want you to do something else. Those type of things can happen. But please make sure that you have something that can always, keep you grounded while you still make room for God's plans to take their place in your life. Okay, so that's one thing I do. That's a very practical thing I do. So the next thing I can also suggest is journaling. Journaling has helped me a lot. Let me say it has saved my life, but it has helped me. It's just has saved my life. So journaling has helped me. Journaling has helped me a lot. So this book also, apart from writing goals in here, I also journal as well. So every day, at the end of the day, I come in here and journal about my day. What happened today? What didn't happen? What do I need to get better? Stuff. So I journal. So it's more like I'm transferring all those thoughts from my head into the book, and I'm leaving. I'm allowing space, or I'm creating space in my mind for more thoughts to come in. So journaling helps. So you can write. You can have a gratitude journal. You can have a record the day journal. You can have a journey with God journal. Anything. You can have a faith journal. I even have a marriage journal. Where I write,
Wow.
record stuff in my marriage. Have a support system. Support system does not mean you
System.
must have the whole
Yeah.
world. No. Your husband,
Mm.
your wife, your children can even be your support system. Do you understand? Looking at them and being inspired by how they're growing up, how innocent they are, can even give you more motivation to do what you're doing. Then you can also have a
Mm.
coach, have a mentor, have somebody that can be objective in your journey, and be able to tell
Mm.
you what you must know, not what you think you need to hear. Right? Have an accountability partner. Just surround yourself with a support system that will help you on whatever journey that you're taking on at the time. And please stay away from environments that don't align with who you are. If you know that there are friends or
Yeah.
people around you that do not speak positive into your life, do yourself a favor and get the hell out of that place. These are some of
Yeah.
the practical things that I do that you can do.
Thank you for those practical steps. Yes, so final words to
Okay.
our viewers.
Well,
Yeah.
just I'm just I'm just going to say I'm happy that I've had this conversation with you, and
Mm.
for me, finding your voice will and always remain and will always remain a pillar in my message, because
Mm.
the only way you can show that you have come out of that place is to show up, both in your message and with your voice. And your voice is it's not just there's a difference between your voice and the sound of your voice. So
Yeah.
what you hear from me right now is the sound of my voice. But my voice itself has to do with my personality, has to do with my belief,
Mm.
has to do with my
Mm.
message, has to do with my identity, who I think I am, and all of that. That's my
Yeah.
voice. So
The
then when you know
story.
all of
Mm.
that, then you then come out and speak in that area. Speak in a way that aligns with, your voice. A word from you, a story from you, as long as you have been given the go ahead by the Lord to show up, then by all means show up. Now, don't let
Mm.
the opinions of those who don't understand your journey hinder you from showing up for those that really need you, right? So your voice matters. That's what I'm going to conclude with. Your voice matters. I promise you that there is a word waiting to hear you. There's a word waiting
Yeah.
to see you. There is a word waiting to learn from you. And if he says you should speak up, then you should speak up.
Yeah. Thank you. Your voice matters. And there is a word waiting for you to show up and speak up. Yeah. And when the Lord says you should speak, you should speak up. Thank you once again, Victoria, for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Daniela. This was awesome. Look forward to another session, another time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We'll definitely have you back here again. Thank you all for watching today's episode of Living Beyond Limitations. I hope you've learned a lot from our coach and you would explore some practical tips from her in order to be able to find your voice. One thing I want you to take from today's episode is that your voice matters and the world is waiting for you to speak your truth in alignment with who you are and your God's given purpose.